And then at the last shadow day, we did the roulette game and we went darker, how she is now, and now we're going Bronde.
Okay.
So we're gonna do like a mix of teasy lights and highlights. So we're gonna use Blonde Me with 20 volume.
Okay, so for this technique, I am wanting to brighten her up, but I also want to keep dimension because we're not wanting to go full blonde. My goal is to give her a nice blonde with her natural base blending really well and also some dimension throughout. I also want it to be a pretty neutral / warm blonde. So we are going to be doing a combo of teasy lights with highlights. So as you can see, we started with a teasy light. I took that full section above the ear, back combed, and then weaved out. And now I am using a board. I love using a board, especially for the first few foils. It gives me a really steady base above the ear, and I am just making sure I saturate really well. I am using my teasy light brush that comes in one of my brush collections. I will link those in the description box below, but it is the best for teasy lights like this one. I'm also using our foils, and I will link those as well. And I am just going to stack one foil on top of the other and then gently fold in the corners. And then the technique I'm going to do on her today is 1 teasy light to 2 highlights. And I would say I'm doing a bit of a thicker, more defined highlight pattern because I really don't want this to get lost in the hair, especially since she is darker, and I really want these highlights to stand out and pop and add dimension. Okay, and now for that very front hairline where I want my money piece to be, I am going to be sectioning off in a triangle. So it meets at a point up at the top of this section and it's wider towards the bottom. And I start with a slice and then I am going to do a fine baby light. I would say that this section is the only area where my highlights are a little bit thinner and more detailed like this. The other ones were a little thicker like we talked about because I want them a little more tightly packed in here to give a punch of brightness in the front. So I'm continuing that pattern as I work up that section, and as you can see here, I'm at the top of that triangle, and I would say that as I work my way up the triangle, my sections gradually get a little bit thicker. You can see that this highlight I just did is a little bit thicker in my stitch pattern compared to the baby light you saw before, and that is because I start with the slice, then I do a few baby lights, and then I gradually go a little bit thicker, just so that it blends in really naturally with the rest of the hair and what I did there. Okay, and then one of my favorite things to do if I really want a brighter piece in the front is after I do all of those front foils in the triangle, I take all of the dropouts, back comb, do it in a slice, and I am just going to paint lightener directly on just to give those ends even more of a pop so that I don't have those darker subsections within my money piece. I did the front first on her since I am working with an assistant, so here is what it looks like when it is all foiled up. You can see that we have a mix of the highlights and the teasy lights, and then that front money piece section is all done. Now we are working our way to the back, and I am working with my assistant. Basically what we're doing is we split the head into two, and we're just kind of following the shape of the head. I actually had my assistant work in the nape just in the center, and then once the head started to round out, that's when we kind of split it up the middle, and we're each doing a side, and we just followed the same patterns where we would do one teasy light to one highlight, and then we're just going to meet up at the top. Whoever gets there first will just kind of finish that off. All right, we are now at the toning table and we are ready to do her root smudge. You can see that she lifted beautifully to like a level 9, which was awesome. And I have her parted off of her natural part, and then that front triangle section where the money piece was, you can see that I have sectioned away. I'm going to do that very last. I am going to be working in 4 different sections. The front 2 just divided off of her part, and then down the middle in the back in 2 sections as well. I'm just taking my formula, shadowing, and then combing down to blend. I do have Olaplex on her mids to ends to create a barrier and give her a treatment at the same time that this root shadow is processing. We did Redken Shades of Q, 6 NA, 6 NB, equal parts with 10 volume, and I'm going to let this sit 15 minutes before we tone the mids to ends. We are now mixing up the mids to ends toner. I'm doing Redken Shades of Q, 8 VG, 8 GI, and a little bit of 9 NB, as well as a little bit of 7 NB. My main goal is to have her sitting at like a level 8, so mixing the 8s with the 7 and the 9 gave it that perfect combo. So now at the bowl, I am doing her money piece first just because I don't want that to overtone or get mixed in with everything else. So I do it first and then I rinse it out and then I do the rest. Sometimes I mix the rest in with the money piece just to kind of reinforce it. But if it's already perfect and I don't want to overtone it, I'll leave the front out. But that's mainly when I'm doing icier formulas just so it doesn't go too cool. We are now blow drying her and I'm about to show you guys her reaction. It looked so good. I feel like this is definitely her color.
You are gonna in a minute. There you go.
Hey.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it.
That is perfect.
Oh, it does look so good.
Yeah,
This
it's
is like
my favorite.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like a Krista color.
Yeah.
The amount of dust that just flew off though makes
I
me
think that this matches my natural color more than anybody's ever gotten. Truthfully, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
love it.
so good.
is
The length is perfect.
I love it. No, I'm not gonna cry.
Red would have been pretty. We'll do it next time, but
We'll change it again. I love this though. I love this. So good.
It's perfect.
I love it.